You are watching WPTV, award-winning college television.
Well, welcome back to the desk. It was a tale of two halves in Pioneers' first NJAC matchup of the year against Kane, getting outscored 42-20 in the first half, but then outscoring Kane 42-29 in the second half. Tyler, take us through the difference of both halves.
Yeah, let's take a look at William Patterson's two halves. In the first half, they had 20 points, and they came back and scored 43 points in the second half. They had 33.3 field goal percentage in the first half, 40.5% from field goal in the second half, 0 from deep, and in the first half. Second half, they came back with 46.1, and then free throw, they had 0 in the first half, and 100%, which is very solid in the second half. And NJ Moncrief had 21 points on the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can see there that there's an issue with consistency on the Pioneers team, right? And I want to ask you, going back to you, Tyler, what can the Pioneers do to improve consistency?
Yeah, I saw that they can get second chance points because they outscored Kane in second chance points 7-2 in the second half, and they edged out Kane 11-10 in that category for the game. So that's a recipe for wins, and if they can get second chance points off of missed shots, they can get wins against NJAC opponents.
Yeah, you know, consistent rebounding and putting up the ball in the net when you get that second opportunity. But going over to you, Milligan, what do you think the Pioneers can do to, improve their consistency in games this year?
They definitely got to start, limiting their fast break points, because let me tell you right now, they gave up 11 fast break points against, I think it was Kane this past game. That's not good, because that means you're turning over the ball, and that means the other team is going to take it down and score. That's 22 points right there. Oh, we're not at 22 points, but 11 opportunities they got, and to go over there, it's not great. It can't happen. They got to really stop doing that.
Absolutely. Get back quick on defense when you give up a turnover or miss a rebound. But Daniel, going over to you, what helps the Pioneers get a little more consistent?
You got to get Tyreek Montgomery in a groove. I mean, Tyreek's one of the guys that one of the heart and souls of the team. Great personality. I work with him at the rec. He's a great guy. I mean, he's really kind of like fallen off a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. He's shooting only 18% from three. He's averaging almost about 4 points less a game than he did last year. He's one of the heart and souls of that team. When he gets going, everybody else gets going, and everybody gets behind him and Sean Summers. And he really needed to step up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You get him going, like you said, the whole team gets going. They feed off his energy. That definitely helps them be a little more consistent. But Bijan, closing us out for this one, what do you think the Pioneers can do to be a little more consistent?
I got to go with improving the assist-to-turnover ratio. Against Keene, the Pioneers had 7 assists to 12 turnovers. That's a -5 difference. You can't be having that. And as a byproduct of that, as Milligan brought up, they were able to get 11 points transition. You're allowing your opponents too many easy attempts at the rim or is that easy shots from deep. If you keep turning over the ball, and the Pioneers already are not great scoring as is, so why would you want to give your opponents more chances to get easy points on the other end? So limiting the sloppy turnovers, especially in transition, would help the Pioneers start racking up these NJAC wins.
Absolutely. But, keeping it with you, Bijan, the Pioneers are on a 2-game losing streak, right? Even though Sean Summers just came off of a really, really good game. Bijan, take us through Sean's game this past.
Well, looking at these stats right here, Sean Summers in 36 minutes had 30 points and shot from the field 73% while having 9 rebounds. Overall, a very sunny day for Sean Summers.
A sunny day indeed for Sean Summers, as Daniel mentioned before, a little summer love in there. But, despite his career game for the William Patterson Pioneers, they're still on a losing streak. Bijan, sticking with you, what do you think has been an issue for the Pioneers during this little rut they've gotten into?
I got to go with poor shooting execution from deep. Against Keene, well, in the past 2 games, the Pioneers have shot 6 for 20 from deep and 5 for 21. If defenses know you can't shoot from deep, they'll just sit back, dare you to shoot from there, and then they can clog the paint. And then you can't get easy shots at the rim or get easy shots in the mid-range. The defense can become stagnant. They won't move as much because, hey, if we give an open shot from deep, we'll just live with that because they're not making it. So you got to start making them to open up the rest of the offense.
Absolutely. Tyler, moving over to you, what's been an issue for the Pioneers?
Yeah, in the past 2 games, they got out-rebound. Kane out-rebound the Pioneers 41-38. And the game against NJCU, the Knights out-rebounded the Pioneers 33-30, and that's been an issue for the Pioneers in their 2-game skid. So they gotta start getting boards on the glass.
Yeah, even though it seems like it's not a significant number, those those points that you miss out on off of rebounds really do affect you. Michael, moving over to you, what do you think has been an issue?
I think what's been an issue for sure is lack of points off the bench. They were outscored the past 2 games, 42-19 with points coming off the bench. They ain't winning formula at all. Versus Kane, they allowed 31 points off the bench and they only scored 3 themselves. And in versus NJCU, they actually won that one by a differential of 5 by scoring 16 while NJCU also scored 11. But that's still getting outscored. That's not winning formula. They got to work on that.
Absolutely. And, they have a lot of potential for scoring on that bench. But, Daniel, closing us out for this one, what do you think has been the biggest problem?
They've been falling behind big early. They're giving up too much big runs. I'm going to point out a few runs right here. A 13-3 run they gave up against Brooklyn College in the first game, which they came a nice comeback, nice team win at the end of that. A 17-7 run they gave against Westfield State, and a 7-2 run that Western Connecticut State. Both of those runs led to wins for those teams that the Pioneers lost, and a 13-2 run against NJCU the other night, which the Pioneers were winning that game, and that run led NJCU to win. They've been inconsistent. They've been giving up long runs, and then they get long runs themselves, but it's been more of giving up those long runs. When you're giving up those long runs, you got to keep teams tight in the game because they boost confidence and they get a lot of points off of that.
Yeah, and that kind of ties in with your answer, Michael, where you fall behind big and then your bench can't kind of remedy the fact that you've given up so many points. But moving on from the men's side to the women's side, the women Pioneers, they had a less than ideal first half against Kane. Sticking with the theme of comebacks, they got outscored 41-26 in the second half, the Kane Cougars, and it led the Pioneers to a 59-51 comeback win. One standout sophomore was Patty Walsh. Michael, what player stepped up? And it's Patty Walsh, isn't it?
Yes, it is Patty Walsh. I do have to agree with that. I mean, look at the stats right here. Her minutes, she has 30 minutes out here, for the sophomore center. 16 points total. Look at the field goal percentage, 67%. That's pretty darn good. And 6 rebounds as well. Look, this team runs through Patty Walsh right now. This entire team loses its identity if she's not playing well. And look, she's going to keep performing great, and they're going to build around her. And I think she's going to be really, really good for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to, have that team right now the way that they're playing without the centering around Patty Walsh. But Daniel, moving over to you, there's a lot of good players on that team. Who do you think has stepped up beside her?
I think Renee Wells has been good. Under the radar, she doesn't put up a lot of points in the game, but she took off last year and she's been about the same that she was this year. She got 7 rebounds the other day. She's been really good. She forces a bunch of turnovers. I mean, they had 4. They gave 14 turnovers the other day. I mean, Renee Wells is just in the mix of players who've just been really good this season. She's been solid. She's been consistent, and look forward to her keeping it up this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving over to you, Bijan, who do you think has stepped up beside Patty Walsh?
I gotta go with Brianna Smith. In the second half against Keene, she had 16 points, made a couple shots from deep, a couple shots from the field, and a couple shots from the line, giving them the scoring punch they need in that game. But also, when her shots are going in from deep, it just ignites the team and gives a whole new energy and leads them to going on a couple runs, which allowed them to win a couple games that they have.
Yeah, especially that Kane game. She really just came out.
She poured it on that second.
Absolutely. Tyler, close us out for this one.
Yeah, I got to go with the freshman guard Madison Sierra because late in the second half against Kane, she stepped up with 1:55 left in the game. She knocked down a big 3 that put them up 54-51, and that really propelled them and gave them momentum to close out the game and get the win. So she really stepped up, and she's been a great addition coming in for the Pioneers this year.
Yeah, we had a fun time calling that one. A big comeback win for the Pioneers women team. But last question for this one. The Pioneers fell short to NJCU University Wednesday night, losing 75-56. Karp, take us through that game.
I would love to take you through this game, Marcus. You got NJCU and the Pioneers. Pioneers win a 28.8 field goal percentage to 36.3 for NJCU. Not really great. 23.5 from 3 for the Pioneers. 29.6 for the Knights. Also not great. 64.3 free throw for the Pioneers and 60 for the Knights. Not great shooting from either team, but 20 turnovers to 12 turnovers for the Knights. That I'm going to get into in a little bit. But Patty Walsh and Renee Wells with 17 points each. We talked about them before. They've been great. They were great here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an unfortunate loss, but some big performances there. But, I do want to say that when you lose like that, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And Tyler, starting with you, what do you think went wrong for the Pioneers here?
Yeah, in the third quarter, they allowed too many points in the paint. They allowed 10 points, and that just gave the momentum to NJCU because that was the point when they were on that run, 18-7 run. So, that played a huge factor in them having that 13-point lead going into the fourth quarter. So they can't allow points like that in the paint. So
they got to be better in that category.
Yeah, absolutely. Bijan, over to you.
Talking about the third quarter as well, they just fell too far behind. At halftime, they were up 32-31, and then the third quarter, NJCU outscoring them 26-12. That just can't happen. The points in the paint, as Tyler mentioned, sloppy turnovers, just shot bad overall. When you're up, when it's close like that in halftime, you should be able to keep it close. Maybe get down by 5 going into the fourth, but getting outscored 26-12, you can't recover from that. It's just hard to come back from.
Yeah, and moving over to you, Daniel. I do agree with that, but moving over to you, what do you think was the biggest issue?
I'm going to go with the turnover differentials between the Pioneers and the Knights. I mentioned 20-12 in the graphic, but out of 8 girls who played 10+ minutes, 7 of them forced a turnover, and Victoria Palladino had 5, and Esmeralda Ruiz had 4. 2 very physical players that are there, that are present for their defense. Both of them are I respect the physicality of the play, but you got to find a way to limit the turnovers.
Absolutely. And then Michael Milligan, closing us out for this one. What do you think went wrong?
It's their lack of being able to make 3-pointers. I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now. The last game they went 4 for 17 on 3-pointers. Let me tell you, that's not good because it's not winning formula. It's not great. It's not good. I'm just saying right now as it is, they just got to work on improving it. And that can always come in time. Again, points in the paint, that has been working out, but, don't force shots either because they can just give in rebounds to the other team. So you just got to make sure that, you're making good shot selections on 3-pointers at least.
Absolutely. But look, the Pioneer basketball teams look to bounce back with 2 pivotal NJAC games against Montclair and Rowan coming up. But we're going to move on to the NHL next on Sports Desk.